A hearty welcome to you all. This global limitless conference, hosted by the Female Factor, is bringing together selected female leaders of the future. Life post-pandemic has never been less predictable. Technology is now intrinsic to every single thing people do. The modern computing industry, my industry, has reshaped how society lives, from ordering food online, recording fitness goals, revolutionizing healthcare, and everything in between. You have survived the worst health crisis the world has seen in a century. You have endured extreme difficulties in adversity, and you are the stronger for it. History shows that we tend to overestimate the changes that will occur in the next 2 years and underestimate the changes that will occur in the next 10. Worldwide, modern technology, as I'm using now, is allowing people to work from home. I've been doing that for 60 years, so can claim to be a world expert. And I assure you, it's less about the technology and more about the leadership culture. So as to rewrite the myth of the older woman, let me share my story with you. But beware, the older I get, the better I used to be. When Mahatma Gandhi was my age, he'd already been dead for several years. All that I am stems from 1939, when I was an unaccompanied child refugee on a refugee train from Vienna, part of the Kindertransport, which saved nearly 10,000 mainly Jewish children from Nazi Europe. I'm only alive because so long ago I was helped by compassionate strangers. Starting at 18, I worked as a sort of mathematical clerk in the British public service. I was horrified to find that remuneration went by age and gender. One pay scale for men, another lower scale for women. When strong young men used to offer to carry my equipment, I would reply somewhat aggressively, "I believe in equal pay and will carry my own things." Nowadays it's, "Oh, how kind. Thank you so much." According to the World Bank, globally, women still average only 3/4 the legal rights of men, and fewer than half the world's countries have equal pay. As well as earning less than men for equally valued tasks, we also carry out more of the unpaid childcare and face a higher risk of domestic violence. When I hit the glass ceiling for the umpteenth time in 1962, I set up my own business to get round all the gender issues of the time. It was a company of women, a company for women, an early social business. There weren't any women role models in Britain then. No one expected much from women in work because all expectations were about home and family responsibilities. I couldn't accept that, and so challenged the conventions of the time, even to the extent of changing my name from Stephanie to Steve in my business development letters, so as to get through the door before anyone realized that he was a she. In no way was mine a typical business. In no way am I typical. I am interested in the achievement and realization of goals. So try to lead differently, to act as an advocate and role model for women in the economy. True role models provide images of real people, valued for their contribution to the real, not celebrity, world. Although nowadays girls are getting the best marks in school and dominate many universities, there's still a need for such role models and to encourage women and girls in critical thinking. We all have to become creators as well as consumers. People laughed at my crusade for women, but I wanted opportunities for me and for other women. I recruited professionally qualified women who had left the industry to marry or have children and structured them into a home working organization. We pioneered the concept of women returners, women going back into the workforce after a career break, euphemism for having children. We pioneered a whole lot of new work methods that moved the measurements from time spent to work done. We pioneered all kinds of flexible working, job shares, then profit sharing, and later co-ownership when I got a quarter of the shares into the hands of the staff at no cost to anyone but me. So I was doing lots of new things and breaking ground for smarter working. As a pathfinder, for years I was the first woman this, the only woman that. Firsts don't have to be onlys. Certain jobs were completely barred to women. I couldn't even open the company's bank account without my husband's authorization. My generation of women fought the battles for the right to work, the right to serve, and for equal pay. You can always tell ambitious women by the shape of our heads. They're flat on top from being patted patronizingly. My crusade for women was the founding philosophy of the business. It couldn't have started smaller, on the dining room table with what would now be $100, but financed by my own labor and by borrowing against the marital home. We floated on the main London Stock Exchange in 1996. 70 of the staff later became sterling millionaires. And when, after 45 years, the company was acquired in 2007, there were 8,500 staff, men and women, which is as it should be. We enjoy things we're good at, of course we do, and are good at the things we enjoy. Apart from the time commitment, I also work at going beyond myself to see the broader picture. And this means more than having a personal goal like I want to be rich. It means having goals for your community, your profession, and your country. I found during difficult times that to be able to go beyond oneself, you need a healthy selfishness. to invest in yourself, your mind, body, and spirit, to ensure your own self-preservation and development. Success is found at the edge of failure. Always, always, it is teamwork that carries forward the vision. In both my working life and since my nominal retirement, I've delegated the execution of my vision to others and gained personal strength by embracing the concept of empowerment. As with love, it is more about giving than taking. People need to recognize that they too have power. The aim is for them to say, the leader did nothing. We did it all ourselves. My concept of a company of women was, though I say it myself, both timely and brilliant. But lots of people have ideas. It's energy and persistence that are responsible for success. And success comes from good leadership. The heart of any business is about making things happen. And that's only worthwhile if done with sensitivity to social issues. It's people, not organizations, who make the world go round. It's people with all our strengths and failings who are the powerhouse at every level of life. The creative spark for new enterprise comes from people. It's their drive that brings it to life. Their professionalism and dedication to quality that makes an organization flourish. My company started as a crusade for women, so why should I object to having my leadership style called matriarchal or feminine? It's collegiate. I develop teams and grow people. I used to show off to demonstrate my competence, then learnt to reveal my vulnerability. I'm finding this difficult. Would you help me with it? You may not recognize Adolf Hitler as a good leader. He was a good leader, but for evil. It's important to become a leader for good. Leaders volunteer. Leaders share. Leaders always promote their organization's interests. Leaders have to persuade their followers. Leaders are never just thinking about things, for leaders have to act. Thinking is not enough. And if people stand up straight, hold head high, take up space and use broad gestures, at least in the Western world, make eye contact, except in many parts of Asia, speak fluently and audibly, they are then viewed as leader-like, aspirational, influential, perhaps charismatic, but always effective and competent. Leaders set the tone, so must consistently manage themselves as regards energy level, attitude, and confidence. Leaders are generally expected to have an appropriately confident demeanor, but that can be interpreted negatively for women, so we must always play to win. Note that once a culture is established, it determines the criteria for leadership, and thus who will or will not be a leader in future. As ever, leaders of the future will be those who empower others. It's amazing what you can accomplish if you don't mind who gets the credit. And when you're true to who you are, you can work out the sort of person you want to become. It's not about skills, but rather values. A cool head, firm hand, and warm heart. Let me share with you 2 secrets of commercial success. Always surround yourself with people who work smarter than you. Any of my colleagues will confirm I do that. And choose your partner very carefully. The other day when I said, my husband's an angel, a woman complained. You're lucky, she said. Mine's still alive. Am I a feminist? I'm well aware that Black, Asian, Latina, and mixed race women face stresses additional to those of white women. Thinking you're disadvantaged creates a disadvantage of itself. I'm a humanist, totally committed to valuing each human being and convinced that every single person can make a positive difference in the world. Women's careers are often linked with our childbearing. So what about the family side of my life? Our son, Giles, was a beautiful, contented baby. And then at 2.5, like a changeling in a fairy story, he lost the little speech he had and turned into a wild, unmanageable toddler. Not the terrible twos. Giles was severely autistic, and he never spoke again. Giles was the first resident and the first home of my first charity, Autism at Kingwood, which I set up, ran, and then chaired for many years. It provides supported living, outreach and diagnosis for adults with autism and also learning disabilities who have challenging behavior, what the social workers now call distressed behavior. It is a pioneer of services for autism. My largest charitable project is Prior's Court School for nearly 100 autistic pupils with learning disability and again, distressed behavior. Few have any speech, 40% are also epileptic. It took 30 million sterling, including startup losses, and 5 years of my life overall to set up the school and get it managerially and financially independent of me. Prior's Court is the school that I would have wanted for my Giles, physically, intellectually, and spiritually. It is wonderful to see such vulnerable young people develop. Thirdly, there's Autistica, the most strategic of my charities, which funds medical research. And together, those 3 charities employ over 1,000 people. Philanthropy is all that I do now, nothing to do with stamps. I need never worry about getting lost, because several charities would quickly come and find me. To date, I've given away, invested really, some $100 million, which is serious money. wonderfully effective. But if we're not to patronize the beneficiaries of money's benevolence, you have to have passion and the human touch. My memoir, Let It Go, published by Penguin in both German and English, describes the ups and downs of my entrepreneurial life. My new book, so to speak, was our lockdown project, a unique collection of some 30 of my speeches given over the past 40 years. All proceeds go to Autistica, a perfect gift for thoughtful friends and business associates. Ladies and gentlemen, every code of ethics mandates the strong to look after the weak. Charity does not necessarily come wrapped in cash, but the more you give, the richer your life becomes. Thank you.